Hello, Quest fans. Paladin Patrick coming to you, not so live, but I have questions and Ansgars. Next week, I'll see if I can't put together something a little more interesting for you. So let's get right to it, because this week we had quite a journey with those couple episodes. So let's start with Joshua from Twitter. Though someone else might have already asked it, I'm wondering if your eye injury was at all a disadvantage for Paladin activity. No, because the first day or two it was swollen, but after that it was just kind of there. It didn't affect my vision at all, so not really, not for Paladin activity. And using relatable examples, describe the dragon egg pit with as much detail as possible for immersion's sake. Okay, so imagine this. You saw those kind of like cage-like tubes that went down into the pit. Just dove right down into there. The opening at the bottom was about like that big, and we all know how an opening that small worked for me with the door challenge with that bubble butt. Imagine that being kind of magnified here. And the smell didn't hit me until I got down to the bottom. Oh, it was awful. How can I describe it? Well, let me finish with the smell. Let me start with the setting. So you get down there, there's a dragon egg down there, obviously. There's a 2x4. There's a 2x2 or something like that. Stick. There's a couple of boards, a couple of 2x4s, I think. There's a skeleton, which I don't think you guys were able to see that in any of the pits. And all kinds of crap. And just imagine if someone took a pit and filled it with mud, and then took garbage from you and your neighbors. In the heat of summer, we're talking like 100-degree days with high humidity, and it was sitting outside for a week. And you took all that and you dumped it in there. And then you let that sit in the rain and the humidity and the heat, and you let that sit for a couple weeks to kind of fester and get all nasty. And then multiply that by 10, and that's about how bad it smelled. That was no joke. It was disgusting. Utterly and thoroughly disgusting. I think Bonnie said that the smell from the pit that was in her outfit, they couldn't get it out after like 3 dry cleanings. So it was that bad. It was awful. And we were camping. We couldn't shower. It was terrible. It was... Anyway. So hopefully that answers your question and gives you a sense of just how bad it was. Okay, Moondance, also from Twitter. Did they project the dragon so you guys could see it? No. That was the one and only time we were kind of pulled out of it, pulled out of the immersion, because it was like react as if there's a dragon there. And it was funny because we were really straining to see a dragon. We thought maybe if we looked hard enough, we would be able to see this dragon, but no such luck. How does that work? It didn't. Our imagination, as Jasmine would say, we used our imagination. So for that was the only time too. It was so depressing. But how are they going to project a dragon into the sky? So that would have been kind of a more difficult task. Easier for us to just use our imagination for that 10 seconds. All right, Travis Overstreet. For me, a show like this is surreal. I would have been so honored to be a part of this because of my background in role-playing, pretty much using these things as an escape. Did you feel the same? Yeah, absolutely. This was like a dream come true as far as living out a role-playing game. And I played D&D for a long time, well beyond the age where most people would. Well, I guess that's not entirely true. But as an example, in my mid-20s, my good friend Tim was our dungeon master. And there was a group of 3 or 4 of us, and we would seriously play for days straight. I would get off of work, and this is when I worked in the restaurant, and I would get off of work at like 1 in the morning, have a couple days off. We would do this from 1 in the morning until past 1 in the morning the next day, taking very few breaks. So it was, for me to be able to live this was just badass. It was amazing. Dream come true. What about this competition excited you the most? The level of detail and the degree to which the producers went to really make sure that we were immersed in this world 24/7 as much as we could. That was really what excited me the most. This really was like LARPing to a whole new level. It was incredible. What drew you to it? Everything. I mean, executive producer of Lord of the Rings, you got a fantasy, you got someone being a hero. That was like, it had my name written all over it as far as something that I wanted to do, so that was awesome. Gene Medina, what really went wrong with your gears on the closing Dragon Gate challenge? All right, so I had them all lined up. I tested it with the crank. Everything was fine. Forgot to put the chain on, so I took the end piece off, put the chain back on, tightened everything back up, started cranking it, turned fine, and then all of a sudden the gears just, I would turn it, but somewhere along the way the gears weren't turning. At one point you see me kind of like holding it and trying to turn, because I'm trying to use, pressure to force the gears together for the turning, but it wasn't working. I don't know if when I took it off and put it back on, I screwed up the gears, but yeah, it was kind of sad. Did you feel guilty that no one stood behind Letitia after she made the comment the week before about how everyone should have at least one person standing behind them? Yeah, I think we all felt kind of guilty, but the way they did the voting, we really didn't, at this point, we hadn't been sharing all of our votes with each other, and even if everyone was going to vote for Lena, I think we all figured that the other guy would stand behind Letitia. And so when that didn't happen, we kind of felt bad about that. But in one sense, I guess it gives the viewers a sense that it really was a unanimous vote for Alina. But it wasn't something that we had wanted to do. We didn't want anyone standing up there alone, so that kind of sucked. Yeah. And it was kind of ironic that she made that comment about Christian, and then it happened to her. I kind of, when she made the comment last week, I was like, oh, crap. And now we're going to go to this next week, and that's exactly what's going to happen to her. So I felt bad. Jennifer Siana, I think I got it right, if I read your pronunciation right the other day. Who was more intimidating, Verlox or Sister Carol Ann? She could be a fan. No, it's not a soap opera, so she's not a fan, I can guarantee. I think Verlox was based directly off of Sister Carol Ann. At least my memories of her. No. Verlox was definitely more intimidating. But Sister Carol Ann was a very, very close second. Could you see Lena in her dragon pit, and did you know she was really close to the top before Bonnie and before Lena's egg fell? No. We couldn't see each other's suits. I know it's hard to tell from the editing and from looking, and then, of course, how they edited what I said. But no, I didn't know Lena was right behind me. All I know is when I got out, and I was so focused on what I was doing that I think even if I had been able to see her pit, I really wouldn't have looked anyway, because literally you couldn't see anything over the top until you got near the top. And it wasn't, I don't know, but it didn't seem to me to be as close as they portrayed it, but it very well may have been. All I know is that when I got the dragon egg out, and I moved it over to where I was supposed to move it to in the net, Lena was closer to where that was, so I ran over to her and I said, do you need help? And at this point, she was only about halfway up. So I thought that was as far as she had gotten. I thought she had only gotten halfway up the whole time. I didn't know she dropped the egg. So I ran to help Bonnie, and when I got to her pit, she said she had gotten it a good chunk of the way up, and then it fell. So I assumed that she had gotten farther. So I didn't intentionally mislead the guys. I just didn't realize Lena had gotten that far. And when they showed it and when I saw that, I felt bad for, what was said at that table of deliberation. And I tweeted as much. Yeah. Do you have any, if I knew then what I know now, regrets? With Christian, yeah. I wish I knew then what I know now. With this one, I don't know. I mean, I still would have fought for Bonnie. I just think that and in retrospect, even without even knowing about the egg challenge, I shouldn't have even brought that up at the Circle of Deliberation. In wanting to keep Bonnie, what I should have brought up is that Lena really blew that last challenge by completely missing that extra bag. And that when Lena was in the Fates challenge, she had never been able to save herself, whereas Bonnie had. That's just, kind of my take on it. Not that Lena's a bad person. It would have been a hard decision no matter what. But, of course, I had that bond with Bonnie. When will Peter Windoffer be on my TV again? I'm going to miss him when the quest ends. I hope soon. That guy is amazingly talented. And he's a crazy guy to talk to in person, too. And over Facebook. So, hopefully soon. I'd really like him to come over to our side of the pond and do some stuff over here. So, we'll see. Kristen Hume. These episodes left me a little confused about the geography of the realm. It seemed like you were hiking, jogging forever to get to the camp, but then the Fates were right there when it was time for them, just as they were when you were in the castle. How great a distance was there actually between the castle, the camps, and the Fate sets? I actually was able to figure out on a map where the Fates were in relation to the castle. And I think I mentioned this before, but it was about, I forget if it was a 3-mile round trip there and back walking, or if it was about 2 to 3 miles there. But it was I want to say it was about 2 miles there, 2 miles, obviously 2 miles back then, from the castle to the Fates. And then from the Fates to the camp, it wasn't as far, but it was still about a mile. But the way that they would take us, kind of like through the woods and through these paths, there was no straight path to anywhere there. So it was just a matter of following the paths, which probably made it a lot longer. So I hope that helps. Maybe I'll try and pull up, because I know exactly where the castle is, and I know maybe if I go to Google Maps, I'll try and draw you guys an idea as to where everything was. Because that I could probably do. Let's see. Andrew Cowan, what was your first impression upon seeing Verlox for the first time? We didn't get a good look at him because we saw him. We were probably about 75 yards away from him. And we had to protect the queen, so we hightailed it out of there as quick as we possibly could. We did get a glimpse. I actually did a drawing, and I got it downstairs of what I remembered Verlox as in my head. And my original version of it was actually closer to what he really was, as opposed to what I ended up changing it to based on what everyone else saw. I should have just gone with what I said, but either way, it was still pretty cool. I got a lot of the details down. But yeah, I mean, we knew he was like a pale-skinned guy, creepy eyes, had a staff. But we didn't get to see a whole lot of them up close at that point. Let's see. Also, any favorite memories with Bonnie that you can share? Almost all the memories with Bonnie were awesome. But probably my favorite thing with her was just when we had downtime and it was just kind of me and her chilling out in the rooms in the castle, just talking, because we got to know each other really well. And she was just a lot of fun. She was upbeat. She actually kept me really focused and kept my mind focused and in the moment in Everrealm. When she was banished, it really just wasn't the same. It was a lot different even when we left the castle, because then everyone split, like guys in one tent, girls in the other, which was fine. But it was a different dynamic sharing a tent with the guys and then having the girls over in their tent by themselves. And then once she was gone, it was like all of a sudden I didn't have that outlet, to chat with in quite the same way. Let's see. I know you guys are really close, and it was sad to see her banished. Yeah, it was really, really sad to see her banished. It was hard for me to watch it again, even though I knew what was coming. Except for that montage. That was awesome. I didn't know that was coming. I'm really glad they did that for her. And that was cool. I know she appreciated it. Kelly Cunningham asks, did the Paladins actually spend the night in the tunnel? No, but we were all set to. We absolutely would have. We actually had gotten down there, stayed down there for about an hour, and then they decided that we would resume the next night. So we went back up to the castle for our last night's sleep in the castle, and kind of started the next day when we came out of the tunnels. So we were all prepared to, though. We were like, yeah, bring it. Have us stay here. We're good. Those packs that we were carrying were actually fully functional. There was like bedding in there and all kinds of stuff. So we would have been all right. Tracy, I'm assuming Prescott's your maiden name, so I'm going to Tracy Samarco. Sorry if that question was already asked. Sorry. What does Lucy think about her dad being a TV hero? She loves it. She loves watching The Quest. She's gotten even more into like The Lord of the Rings every night after reading The Hobbit. So she's really getting exposed to that genre now, and she's loving every minute of it, which makes me a proud daddy. So that's awesome. She does watch the show with me every week. That was another question. And she says, I know I have another daughter. She only knows Lucy. Oh, and you worked with Becky during her pregnancy. Oh, yeah. Lex is my oldest daughter. So she is in her last year of high school, so I don't get to watch it with her because she's off doing her own thing all the time. But I know she watches it, and she actually likes it, which is pretty cool because I didn't actually expect her to as a teenager. All right. Robert J. Once again, man, you better win. Just saying. I can't say. Question 1. When you go to the Fates and 3 Paladins leave for the challenge away from that set, what happens to the Paladins left behind and the Fates? Do you all kick it? Like when the girls went and did their challenge, the 3 of us guys had to go around the circle of deliberation, and yeah, we just kicked it. We just chatted back and forth and tried to entertain ourselves because they were gone a while. It was probably, it felt like an hour. I really don't know how long it was, but it was probably at least a half hour, if not closer to like 45 minutes or an hour. So we did our best to keep ourselves entertained, but we were pretty much confined to that table. Not even in the Hall of Fates. We couldn't even really interact with the Fates. So that was probably the most boring part about it all. No, we didn't have a party. Yeah, we pretty much, a lot of times we did just stand around not saying anything because sometimes that's what we were told to do. Stand around, don't talk. Because they didn't want us to lose any. They didn't want us to get all this stuff like out and then have it not be available to be talked about in that initial reaction on camera after whoever won the Fates Challenge came back. On TV editing, it looks like maybe 10 minutes go by from start to finish. But how long does a challenge take for Seb giving out the rules, doing the challenge, and getting back to the Fates? Yeah, I mean, initially, when the challenges were in the Hall of Fates, they weren't that long. 15, 20 minutes tops. Once we get out of the Hall of Fates, they get a lot longer. That Dragon Egg Challenge, when the 3 of us left the group till the time we got back to the group, it was an hour and a half. Just for us to walk to where it was, to be read the rules, to actually do the challenge, to do all that kind of stuff afterwards with the Rune Guard dragging the eggs off and then walking back and doing the whole Hall of Fates thing. Just from the time we left the Hall of Fates to the time we got back was about an hour and a half. I think that's it for Ray. Melina. Hi there, Melina here. I'm a big fan. So I was wondering, who is your favorite Paladin? I'm guessing Letitia, considering she's so strong. As always, Melina, you are so funny. Now, I really have nothing against Letitia. I don't have anything against any of the Paladins. But it's no secret that Bonnie's my favorite. Aaron Higgins Sexton. First, you rock. Thank you, sis. I love you. Great episode. Question from Molly Sexton. How are the next 2 episodes going to work? There are 2 episodes. How are they going to eliminate? Usually it is 1 Paladin episode, but there are 4 left. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. In the next episode, there will be 1 elimination as usual. And then in the final episode, the final 3 Paladins, whoever they may be, will compete against each other. And out of those, the one who wins the challenge is going to be the one true hero. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. So first hour we lose 1, then second hour there's 3, and that's it. Question 2, did you really see the dragon in the distance again? See the previous one? No, sadly. Did Verlox look as big to you and the other paladins and actors as he did to us on our TV screens? Yes, he did. He seemed enormous, even from that distance. Big, huge. And when you saw him in person, like up close, once, when we weren't filming, after all the filming was wrapped up, Doug Tate, the guy who plays him, he's a big guy. If you are on my personal Facebook page, not my fan page, you can see pictures of like us at San Diego Comic-Con, and Doug's like, I'm 6'2", and Doug's like up here. So, yeah, let's see. Question 3, why were you so stinky after getting the dragon egg out of the dish? What was in there? Ew. Thank you in advance for your Ansgars. See my previous statement about the stuff that was in there. I do know for a fact that they had mixed into the muck rotten vegetables and fruit, and like really nasty mud from stuff. And so there really was like gross, nasty stuff. So when I say it smelled like someone had dumped a bunch of old garbage in there that had been out in the sun, it's probably because that's basically what they did. John Fitzsimmons, were you instructed not to make references to other shows or movies like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones? I'd find it hard not to throw out an occasional quote. We weren't instructed to, but I think it was kind of understood that it probably wouldn't be a good idea and it'd get edited out anyway. So, just because ABC, Disney, those are other companies, they wouldn't have included that. So, but we weren't formally instructed to, no. But yeah, and yes, it was hard in a lot of cases. Ricky Primateo. It's hard seeing Bonnie go. Was a nice homage that they did for her tonight on the show. Everyone, even the Queen, asked for maybe. This isn't Mirror Me Teary. It must have been hard for you. What were some of the things going through your mind at the deliberation? I think I was resigning myself to the fact that Bonnie was probably going to go home. Shondo and Andrew had gotten a little tight after Christian left, after that whole challenge. And not saying Shondo was voting anyway because of Andrew, but I just think that he may have had Shondo's ear a little bit more, and Shondo made a decision on his own based on the merits that he saw, and I wasn't as close with Shondo, and he knew what he knew about Bonnie, but Shondo's a physical guy, and I think he respects that physicality more, which is why he picked Lena. But I think at that point I realized that it was probably Bonnie that was going to be going, unfortunately. What did you all do as the other Paladins left to compete for the Fates? Again, see the previous question on that. We pretty much just sat around. Was it a longer walk to the Hall of Fates from the encampment after the castle siege? No, the encampment was actually closer than the castle to the Hall of Fates. Not by much, but a little bit. But it was harder because the encampment was on top of a hill, so we had to walk up the hill on the way back, and that kind of sucked, especially after something as depressing as banishing someone. Were you allowed to have contact with your family during the show? No. The minute I stepped off the plane in Austria, they took my phone. If there was an emergency, my wife knew how to get a hold of me, but other than that, no contact whatsoever, and that was the hardest thing, and especially when Bonnie left, and I didn't have... And not saying Bonnie's a distraction at all, but she kept me so focused on Everrealm and what was going on there. And when she got banished, it was really easy for my mind to go back to my family and start missing them. So that was really hard. That was doubly hard, and I didn't realize how much a key to my success she had been when she was there. I know that she always, praises me and sings my accolades about how I helped her and I was her brother bear, but she was just as much a help to me. And I really, truly believe that. Random question has been floating around my social circle. I would like to ask you as well. What is your favorite season and holiday and why? That's a tough one. I think if I had to rank my seasons, and keep in mind, this is living in Chicago, it would go fall, winter, summer, spring. I like the cold. I like fall because it's just, you can sleep with the windows open. The air is crisp. It's beautiful outside with the leaves changing. I like the snow, so I like the winter. summer, I don't like the humidity and the heat, but I hate the dampness and the wetness and the inconsistency of spring out here. So, yeah, definitely that. As far as my favorite season, our favorite holiday, I mean, Christmas. I go nuts decorating this house for Christmas. I just love the whole, from Thanksgiving to December, that whole stretch. I love it. So, my favorite holiday is Christmas. It's all about the giving. I'm a giving kind of guy. Shirley, when Verlax touched the pillar and the red fire split the castle walls, did you see that? Yes, we did. What you saw is what we saw. It was special effects, but it was live special effects. It's like they call it laser 3D projecting. So it was like projected on there to look 3D. It looked real to us. It actually looked more real being there than it did on the TV screen. But it was really cool. I mean, to see all those effects happen right there like that. And she says, Emmys to costuming, makeup, effects, and every other thing the quest has done. I really, really believe that this show has earned itself some Emmys. So keep your fingers crossed for the next, I don't know, what do you call that, award show season. They really should win something for this. Shirley also asks, congrats on winning the medal for intelligence for the flag code message. That then came the stinky dragon eggs. How heavy were they? I couldn't touch them. We would have gotten burned, so I don't know, but they felt like they probably weighed about 15 or 20 pounds just by using the boards. So not terribly heavy, but when you can't carry it and you have to kind of like stick it in this thing and move it up with these boards, definitely makes it a little bit harder, a lot harder. All right, and finally, our final question is from Jamie San Nicholas. Hey, Patrick, I am just curious as to how you guys showered and did the whole hygiene thing, brushed teeth, washed hair, and also ate. I really only saw you eat once and drink maybe twice. Maybe that would have spoiled the whole mystery of Everrealm. When we were at the castle, we ate at that same place that you saw us eating outside under there. Rain or shine, we ate under there. As far as showering and bathrooms, magic showers. No, there was no indoor plumbing in the castle, so we had porta potties outside the castle, and we had showers in a trailer. So that was like our one brush with the modern world, modern amenities. But once we got to the camp, there was no such amenities other than the porta potty. No showers at all. So if Bonnie could take away something from going home and being banished, it's that she got to do it on the night where she had to dive in that stinky, stinky crap. And got to go home and shower. Or not home, but, to the realm of the fates and take a hot shower, because they have technology there, apparently, I guess. But anyway, so that wraps things up. Next week, I'm going to do a very special one. Your questions are awesome. These videos are getting longer and longer. If you stuck with me through the whole thing, thank you so much. Keep watching. One more week left. Next week, I will do something special for like an intro and music. And yeah, so you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Tell your friends. We want to get as many people to watch it live as we can next week. So please, please, please clear your plans for Thursday night. Watch it live. Tell your friends to stay home. Let them watch it live at their house. If you normally have a viewing party, no. Tell them to go home. Everyone should go to their own house and have a viewing party at their house. Turn the TVs on at everyone's house. And if you must have everyone over, tell them to leave their TVs on at home. Okay? All right. Talk to you guys later. Thank you.